Welcome to another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. I am your host. My name is Maryanne Dersch. I work with nonprofit leaders to grow their influence so they can ask for and receive all they want, need, and deserve, and do it without feeling rejected or pushy, because who wants to feel like that? All right. Basically, what I do is I help people become better leaders and make it easier to enroll people in your vision without convincing, pushing, selling, so that you can enroll people in your program as donors very easily without pushing, selling, convincing, doing all those icky things. And how to navigate feelings like rejection. And people come out on the other side much more confident leaders and have a much more ability to communicate effectively and stand in their value and ask for what they want. All right, so today I'm going to talk about something that's coming up a lot. It's weird because I do calls a lot during the day, and it's like this one thing will come up a lot in a couple of weeks. Like this theme will emerge, and the theme that's emerging right now is a donor pipeline. So when I ask you the question, what is the process by which you enroll donors inside your organization? And you do not have an answer. You do not have a donor pipeline or a donor funnel or whatever you want to call it. You do not have an enrollment process. So what I see happening is we stir up a lot of energy. Like, hey, there's a lot of energy in social media, but it's not translating to where you're capturing people and bringing them closer to the organization, i.e. an email list, right? Or you have an email list, but you're not emailing regularly, or you're not giving them calls to action. There's a lot of just pockets of activity, and that's awesome. I love activity and I love the energy, but what we want to do is move that energy so there's an enrollment process. And lately I have been working with several boards and organizations to help them understand and develop their donor process. And as a gift to you, if you are listening to this and you want to learn more about how to do this, I'm going to open up 5 spots on my calendar. You can just email me at Maryanne@courageouscommunication.com. And I am happy to connect with you and set up a time where I can walk you through this individually if you would like that help. All right. So let me just talk about the donor pipeline, what that looks like. And I am going to be drawing on my iPad. So if you are listening to this via the podcast, please know that you can watch this if you go to courageouscommunication.com/podcast, find this episode, then you can watch this. There's a YouTube link embedded on that page, and you can watch, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to draw it out and describe it as much as possible for those of you who are listening. But you can just go ahead and watch too. It's going to make a whole lot more sense. So let's just talk about what the enrollment process looks like. And I'm going to tell you, when I do trainings with boards, this is really helpful because a lot of times they get stuck because they don't understand the process or pipeline, mostly because you probably don't have one, and how they can contribute to it. So a board will think fundraising is asking for money. Well, that's one part of the process, but there's a lot of other things that you can do as well. So let me get to it, and I'm going to walk you through it, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Okay. So here's pretty much the enrollment, I would call, process. And you could call it a funnel if you like. That's fine with me. And there's pretty much 4 big phases to this. The top phase, the top of the funnel, is awareness. Okay. Got to know who you are, right? So there's certain activities that generate awareness. Then the second one is interest. That means I know you. This means I know you. This means I know you and I like you. There's some affinity. And then we have what I call connection. So connected. I want to feel connected. So now I might love you. And then there's action. And that could mean a lot of things. Giving money, volunteering time, that kind of thing. All right. So it could be giving money, it could be time. I'm trying to make that a clock. Okay. So there's awareness, that's the top. Then there's interest, connectedness. I'll put connected, interest, connectedness, maybe, and then action. So Each of our activities needs to fit in one of these things. And then, so what does an awareness activity look like? So mostly awareness is indirect contact. All right. This is indirect. This could be social media, publicity. If you do like speaking engagements or things like that out in the community, speaking, I did a lot of that when I was very young in my career, going to the Lions clubs and all of those things. Okay. Social media, publicity, speaking, all of those things can generate broad level awareness, right? Then we have interest. That means they know us and they might like us. So that could be driving them to the website, a website. What else does interest look like? Maybe you have, like, I would say, a major event, maybe like a big walk or something. We're moving here from indirect to more direct. So as we go down this pipeline, right, down this process, these are going to get more and more and more direct. So what are the things that can generate interest? This is like referrals, right? You want intros into the community. People who know you might be interested, right? Those are the kind of things. Now, connectedness is typically a personal interaction. So connectedness, interest could be an email list. Okay, they've shown interest. Connectedness could be they attend an event. They are meeting, maybe reply to an email. So like where you ask people to, hey, reply and give me your whatever. Now we're getting more and more connected. Okay. So what are the things that we can do to create connectedness? And then there's action. So what actions do we want people to take? We want them to give money. We want them to give time. We want them to give expertise, right? We want them to, so if it's money, okay, so now you can see why, hey, I'm putting out a call on social media to raise funds, but nobody's doing it. Yeah, because I'm skipping some steps. They have to know about me. They have to like me. Because one of the things I say is, you have to know you to like you. They have to like you to love you, and they have to love you to invest in you. So what are some of the things that people can do to get to know us? What are some of the things that people get to do to like us? What are some of the things that I'm going to put social media on here, like subscribe on interest. So subscribe and follow. Now they're showing interest. Yes, I'll follow you. I'll subscribe to your YouTube channel. I'm showing interest in the hope that there'll be connectedness. So what happens is there's a call to action at each of these. So if they're awareness, right? If they're awareness, then my favorite thing of moving people from awareness to interest is email. Okay. That's an email list. And from there, I can create opportunities for connection. From there, I can invite them. Okay. So, hey, somebody finds me on social media. They like my page. They see the post. They're starting to get invested. I put them on an email list where then I invite them to like a lunch and learn, and some people come. All right. So each of these is a way. So what is the process for enrolling donors into your organization? What activities do you do, and where do they fit in this process? And then what is the activity then for you to move people from one rung to the other? So in my world, all roads lead to a meaningful conversation. So the way I connect with people the best is what I'm going to put MC right here. That's me. So I'll meet you on social media at an event. I'll put you on my email list, and then I will invite you from there into a meaningful conversation. So at the top of this podcast, I said, hey, I'll open up a few spots on my calendar if you're interested in me walking this through you. I'm happy to do it. I'm inviting you into a meaningful conversation, right? And maybe if it's right fit, we could talk about action, what it would look like to work together. And that is my process for enrollment. I tell you that so that you know I eat my own cooking. Okay. I'm not going to tell you anything to do that I wouldn't do. Okay. So I follow this model myself. That's all I just want you to know. Right. So when we look at this now, let's talk about the boards. All right. Because I've been doing this. The way I work with boards is I have basically like a 5-step process for how I work with boards. Um, I used to do this where I would come, oh, can you come in and fire up my board? I'm like, sure. And I would come and do like a 2-hour thing. And I'm not doing that anymore because that really doesn't help. That doesn't move the needle that much, right? But what I can do is I do a prep call, and I do a prep call, and they get some prep work, and I'm gearing them up for this experience, right? And then I have a 3-part training. We can do it in 3 different sessions, or if we can nail them down in one day, we can do it in one day. And then I have a follow-up call where we work on what we want to keep, what we want to implement, and a system of accountability to maintain that. And one of the things that we look for is how can you participate as board members in each part of this process? And where is your participation most necessary? Because here's the thing. Most staff people can move you from connectedness to action. They're pretty good at that. You've probably got people on your team or yourself like, yes, I know how to ask for money. I know how to enroll people. If not, we can work on that too. That's okay. But typically, I would say, but where most boards need the work is in this interest area, opening doors, making connections, finding people to connect with, and also in the connectedness, possibly going on meetings, um, um, maybe making a first contact in a relationship, having the first meeting, and then bringing them into staff for the action, right? For the ask. So this is where the interest in connectedness, I've written all over this, but the interest in the connectedness is I see the board's role. So I ask them, how do you want to contribute to generate interest? What does that look like to you? What are you comfortable doing with? How do you want to generate connection? What does that look like to you? What are you comfortable with? Because most boards, when you say fundraising, they think asking people for money. And as you can see, that is the very last thing that you do. They're missing out on all these things. I did this board training I think it was a couple years ago, and I asked them, I have them fill out this matrix about what they like, what they love to do, and they're really good at what they love to do, and they're really good at what they like to do, and they're okay at. And I had to like go through this matrix, and so many people said they don't like and they're not good at fundraising, but they said, I love and I'm great at giving tours, telling my friends about the organization, getting people to events. I'm like, that's fundraising. But they didn't see it as that because they weren't asking people for money. So when I showed them the process to enroll people, like, oh, see, you're generating interest and creating connection. That is fundamental to this process. And now ears up, okay? When you're bringing somebody on tour, staff, now you know what comes next. Make sure you connect them with staff. What does that look like after you generate that connection? So now I have a process. I can take all of this energy and I'm going to drive it into the organization, right? And when I'm driving it, and now all of this, now it's just a rinse repeat of just pushing people in. So when now people are coming into your organization, you don't have to go scrape and find them anymore. You have a system for enrolling people, and everything you do is boosting that system, or we're going to let it go, right? Like, is this helping generate awareness, interest, connection, or action? If not, we can let it go. Because if it's not doing that, then why are we doing it? Right? So this is the donor enrollment pipeline. Again, if you're interested in talking with me about this, I'm happy to open a few spots on my calendar. You can email me, Maryanne@courageouscommunication.com. I'll send you my booking link. You can get a spot, and I will walk you through this model personally for you, and we'll look at all of your activities and pop them in a category. And I'm happy to talk to you about possibly training your board. I really love this model that I've created to help board members be better advocates, ambassadors to your organization, to help them be more effective in supporting fundraising. And this is part of that. There's a lot more that goes into the training. A lot of it is, the stuff that you already know. We don't convince people to care and all that kind of thing. And yes, releasing the outcome, all those cool things that I talk about all the time. So this is part of a bigger training. It really is a 5-step process to be effective. And that is the prep call, the 3-part training. That's either 3 separate sessions for a couple hours each or a full day. And then the wrap-up call. that where we develop a system of accountability for what they want to implement inside the organization. If your board's a little stuck, or if it's looking for some information and inspiration, this has really been doing well, and I'm happy to talk to you more about it. All right, guys, that's it for me on this episode of The Influential Nonprofit. You can always go to theinfluentialnonprofit.com, drop in your email, and download your Uplevel Your Influence Starter Kit. It's got a really cool ebook. It's called Stop Sitting Back and Start Making Change. It's all about creating change, how to create change inside your organization. It's a really great book with lots of lessons on how to lead and communicate more effectively. And that's it for me. I will see you next time on The Influential Nonprofit.